Okay, welcome back to UKSG. Up next we have a Sonic 06 run by Focus. So take it away, Focus.
Thank you so much, Kinabura. Hello, everyone. I am Focus Site, or just Focus, and today I'm happy to show you Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 Silver's Story No Credits Warp. This category was formerly known as No Mission Select Glitch or No MSG, but due to recent findings, we've discovered that, hey, you can warp to the credits without using that trick, so instead of banning that trick, we just banned the credits warp. So it's if you've seen a No MSG run, this is practically the same thing, just a different naming convention due to recent findings. Speaking of recent findings, if you may have remembered this run from ESA Summer 2020, it has changed a lot due to that run. A trick that was found in that run has saved about five whole minutes in the category, which is quite incredible. So it's a very different run than some of you may have remembered from earlier last year, and I am very excited to show you how this run has developed in such short time. Also, I am on a profile that has Sonic almost all the way completed. This is allowed because you need to play through Sonic's story to get to Silver's, and so we can use Sonic's gems in Silver's story. Although I may be skipping Sonic entirely, we have to see how that trick goes. Yeah, so this run will start off with a lot of explanations, a lot of commentary, but we're sort of going to mellow out after that. It's a tech-heavy category, and it's quite fascinating to watch. If you think you know Sonic 06 as being a horrible game, you've never seen it as a speed game, and you're going to appreciate it as much as I do after 8 years of doing this. Really quick note as well, I'm really glad you guys at UKSG scheduled me for this day. This is my 8th anniversary of running this game to the day. I started January 30th, 2013, and 8 years later, I am still doing this. God, a month of my life is load screens, but it's okay. It's okay. So, I think I'm ready to go. I hope you all are excited for this run, and we'll begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! So, first things first, what was that trick I found at ESA Summer 2020? It's known as Telethrow. So, this is essential to the category. It is a category-defining trick at this point. Basically, as Silver, you can lift objects while on top of them by pressing RT. If you are at a steep angle and then try to throw it, the game is going to throw it down, but it's actually going to push it up because of the way you're standing. And then you can land back on the object and essentially throw yourself across the stage. Looks something like this. This is the epitome of a trick that is easy to learn, hard to master. Because you can do it fairly simply. It's not that difficult of a set of inputs. But acing it is really tricky because of the timing you need to implement and the slight differences in angles. However, it is significantly easier than the trick we used to use before called Telefling. We'll get into Telefling later as it pertains to another trick we use very late in the run. But it's quite fascinating how much that one trick has modified the entire category. Up here we have Section 2. This is where we're supposed to normally play as Blaze, but I don't want to play as Blaze, Silver fast. And we're going to use something called Levitation Extensions. You notice an action gauge at the bottom right? This limits all of Silver's actions. This includes hovering, lifting items, all that stuff. If I hold X while I fall, that forces the game to give me more action gauge because of just the way it was supposed to be programmed. I don't know why, but it happens. And so I'm able to maintain my hover momentum for longer if I press X on a certain frame. And that essentially allows me to save up my action gauge. And also, if I press it on just the right frame, 2 frames after letting go of A, I am able to then maintain my hover momentum and get more action gauge, which means I can hover longer and move further forward in the air. Pretty neat trick. It's really useful for a later skip. So right here, I just did a frame buffered input. I held X while I was into that first section, or loading into the third section, and I let go on the load screen. That forces the game to do whatever input you were holding on the first frame of the next section, which allows me to do a Fire Claw as Blaze, which is faster than letting Blaze fall and then getting to Silver. And that is Crisis City, the first stage of this run. I told you, it's very tech-heavy, but it's fascinating. It's absolutely incredible as a speedrun, and I hope that's already well apparent. So, yeah, Silver's by far the most tech-heavy of the 3 major stories, Sonic, Shadow, Silver, and it has the steepest learning curve as a result, but Telethrow has made the category significantly more accessible. There's a lot less randomness, there's a lot more controllability, and you'll see the applications we have for it, because all it requires is a steep angle and an object you can lift. Anyways, up next here, we have Iblis Phase 1, the first boss of Silver's story, and our first taste of Silver's combat mechanics. These largely center around objects. So there are a few key points to take away here. First things first, you pick up objects in a certain order, and you throw them in that same order. So it's very important that you know which objects you picked up in which order, and also put them in a certain way around you when you pick them up. So for instance, I know this big one right to my right is going to be thrown first, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't have anything else blocking it. Gonna go like this. There we go. So yeah, just spacing out items to make sure that they don't bonk into each other is super important. And also, in the case of Iblis 1 and a few other bosses, as well as most enemies, they have invincibility frames if you throw an item at them, so you do not want to spam items. You want to get sort of in this general rhythm of like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, so that you don't waste ammo and make sure you get hits as quick as possible, as soon as the invincibility frames wear off. Too quick and you're going to waste any ammo you have, which is unfortunate, but you need to make sure to keep account for that. Although in some areas, you just get so many items that's hard to keep track of. I don't know which one I picked up first. I don't know where they all are. I'm just going to throw a bunch of Cocoa Puffs at this random demon, and hopefully it'll work. So sometimes 06 can be like that, but you know. It's a fun game. So yeah, I'm also running on the 360 release of the game. Funnily enough, it's the faster load times. I've downloaded the game to my console by just installing it. I still require the disc, but this makes every load screen 5 to 10 seconds faster than otherwise, which is why the PS3 version loses about 10 minutes per hour on load screens. So yeah, these are faster loads, everyone. Smile. I'm not joking, but I like the breaks in between stuff.
The Iblis trigger.
Alright. The Iblis trigger, of course, this is the plot. Nephilus has convinced Silver that there's someone in the past that has caused this demon in the future, and he's gotta go attack him. So instead of, you know, walking, we're just gonna pick up a rock and, you know, throw ourselves across the area. That's how physics works, right? And there you go. That is... Telethrow is just an incredible trick, honestly. Because before, what we would do there is just walk, and that took 50 seconds. That was half the time. Half that. Just because we can pick up a rock and do that. So, again, the possibilities are quite literally endless. This has opened up so many different routes for stages, including here in Tropical Jungle. So, there's a set of boxes here, and I'm just going to destroy this thing. Ooh. Let's see if I can recover from this. Okay, just waiting for the box to respawn. I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to tilt it like that so that this face is steep enough to telethrow. And then throw myself to the end of the stage that way. Holding the camera up to reduce lag. And notice how I'm tilting the box slightly. So, direction Silver's facing will influence the way that the object actually moves. If you're facing towards the steepest point of the object, you'll go as high up as possible, but only 4. If you face slightly left or right, it's going to reduce the height, but it means you can angle the object or whatever you're using a slight bit. And if you face down, it's the same thing, but in reverse. You're going to skyrocket to the ground. So now I'm actually holding the X button while we get through this cutscene. I want to do yet another frame buffered input when I start Wave Ocean Blaze here, because her homing attack, or Fire Claw, just is done by a single X press, unlike Sonic's, which is done by double tapping A. So, with that in mind, we are able to break out of automation once again, and set up for a trick called Loop Launch. This is a 360 exclusive, although the trick behind it isn't. So I'm just going to go over here. You know, it's a nice, brisk day at Wave Ocean, you know, very calming, cool beach aesthetic. I'm just going to align myself like so. And there we go. Cat flying through the air. That is Loop Launch. It's a whiff. Basically, a homing attack where we miss the initial beacon will perpetuate until we hit something again. So we're able to align ourselves like that and hit this thing much later on. Let's see if I get this. Yeah, there we go. That is an advanced fire claw. Should be called the advanced spinning claw. It is a one-frame trick where we can maintain our speed from the ground in this move called the spinning claw. And we're able to just go on the water like that using the rail speed, because the spinning claw is done by holding X and releasing it. So if I build up speed on the ground and then hold a spinning claw, release it the frame after I jump, it will both maintain my ground speed, which is the speed we built up on the rail, and last twice as long as the normal spinning claw for some reason. I don't know why, it just does that. So, pretty cool trick though. I was actually really slick. One of the harder tricks in the run for me. Up next, we have what we're supposed to do is talk to some people in the town, because 06 plot. And so you're supposed to help protect the town by doing a mission called Mission 8. No, we don't need to do that. In fact, there are 7 normally required missions in Silver's story. In the speedrun, we only do 2 of them. 2 of 7. because the game developers oftentimes left mirrors active, meaning even if I don't finish Mission 8, if I manage to reach the mirror here for Dusty Desert, it will actually just take me to Dusty Desert anyway. So what I'm going to do is something called a lift exploit. I'm going to get a box like this, put it against the wall. Cool box. Okay, just going to sort of mess around with this. This is a little bit frustrating sometimes. See if I can get it. Ah, box is annoying. Let's go. So I need to be very careful here. The objects are kind of interesting in Sonic 06. So by interesting, I mean There we go. That's the lift exploit. If I'm able to lift a flat object above a flat ceiling, the game will push me through, and therefore I can skip the entirety of Mission 8 just by clipping through the mayor's residence there and just going to Dusty Desert like that. Okay, so up next, we're going to do yet another one of those instances of a lift exploit, and this is one of the most fascinating varieties of telethrow. Dusty Desert is quite a fun stage if you nail everything. So I have this pot over here. It has a flat bottom, so I'm just going to try to tilt it in such a way by knocking it against stuff so that it gives me the angle I want. Let's just see. I'm gonna have to restart that, that's fine. Sometimes this can be a bit finicky because the object rotates in certain ways, and if it rotates on its side, it's gonna be a bit stagnant. But there we go, I got it on its bottom. It's now flat, so I can push it through the ceiling here, jump through, pick up this pot. I'm not gonna wait for this wave to go through. Fly over to here using an LE. Oh, come on, game. That was mean. That was not what I wanted. Okay, we still got a chance though, don't worry. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, why is this game doing this to me? Okay. Oh, never mind. We have to do that again. Dusty Desert is being a bit mean, so if you have any announcements you want to talk about, King Deburah, go right ahead.
Yeah, we've got one $10 donation from Anonymous and no comment. Just want to obviously remind everybody that we are raising money for the Crisis, which is a charity supporting people out of homelessness for good. They provide training and education and support with housing and employment and health. 100% of your donations will be supporting Crisis.
Awesome, thank you so much, and thank you for the donations, everyone. So I finally got the pot out of bounds, and because it's a steep enough angle, if I manage it in this way, we can just fly across the stage. I need to be very careful not to be too high here, or else I'm going to hit a death plane. But... ooh, yeah, there we go, that's Dusty Desert. A little bit finicky right there, but that's fine. Sometimes Dusty Desert can be really mean. I got both... I had a lot of bad luck there. Essentially, sometimes a spike ball can come in, and if the spike ball hits your pot, it just gets destroyed. If you don't hold the object while it touches like this, the sand wave, it gets destroyed. And so we had a bit of unfortunate luck there, but it was pretty good anyhow, and you got the payoff in the end. That was still faster, by the way, than what I would have done like just 6 months ago to skip through that stage. I still basically broke even with that older strat because this saves about 80 seconds compared to what we used to do. Anyway, so Sonic 06 for an early 360 game is pretty good graphically, and Solion is really calming, and I would say this is one of the most calming parts of the game. Yep, calming. Really relaxing. I just love the sound of Hedgehog in the morning. Alright, there we go. So that's Sonic's fight. You may have noticed we could have probably killed him earlier, but we didn't want to do that because we want to avoid an S rank. So right here, the A rank we have actually means we save time, RTA, because we normally get these gold medal animations at the very beginning of the, at the very end of the stage, and so we only get 1 here instead of 2, which means we save time RTA. Just like that. Up next, I would have done, like, if you'd asked me this, like, 3 months ago, I would have done a really difficult trick called Sign Telelaunch, and we'll get to Telelaunches when we get to Kingdom Valley. Normally at this point in the game, you're supposed to get something called the Shock Bracelet, which is a very useful move casually. It is one of the most useful moves in Silver's kit. But we don't want it in the speedrun because it busies up the X button. Remember earlier that I was talking about LEs, and so if I hold the X button, I still maintain my momentum. But if we get the Shock Bracelet, holding X will do that Shock Bracelet move, which basically acts as a ground pound, and kills all our momentum. So we don't want to get that move. We don't want to get that power up, and of course in Sonic 06 there's a way to skip it. Before we used to get a box from over to our upright, and then I decided to try to do a really difficult trick with the sign to my left. And now instead we just cause a traffic violation. There's a sign going to be up here on my left. It's going to be right here. There's a laser gate up there, which is blocking the way to White Acropolis. I'm going to push this sign against the wall, let it fall over in such a way that I get it on its back like that, push it against there, and then walk right. If I do this right, there we go. Clip right through. Very simple, pretty consistent setup, and if you angle the camera that way, you'll never die. That golded. Let's go. Very nice sign clip right there.
Do you mind if I just interject for a second?
Absolutely. This is actually a good point for donations, because this will be the last time we see Blaze, so it's just about 40-50 seconds.
We have one that's just come through by Pandas Armed Robots, who donated £5, and they say, donating to a great cause and watching some excellent speedruns. Let's get that tuxedo run from Metal Gear Solid 3. A £5 each, and we'll be there in no time. Thank you very much, Panda, and of course, every little bit helps for the Crisis charity, which we are donating money for. So, thank you very much, and keep those donations coming.
Absolutely. I'm really glad that I'm able to help you guys out in this. I mean, just we all need to help each other out in this time. You know, across the pond here, I'm still wanting to do everything I can to support. So that was an AFC, really tight one, because if you mess that up, you can sometimes get Blaze to just fall without any recovery and waste 50 seconds, but that was really clean, because in Sonic 06, pretty much all you need is the right geometry, angle, and speed to clip through anything. And so Blaze provides the speed, that door is a bit wonky, and so we can just clip right through, skipping all the enemies. Twice over in that area, funnily. Alright, so this is a series of telethrows as well. Again, you can pretty much use whatever you have at your disposal. And so I'm just going to use these boulders. Ooh, a little bit slow, but I can then LE to go faster in air. There's a little bit of combat coming up, actually. So certain enemies have health gauges in Sonic 06. This one takes 4 hits. Generally speaking, if you can stun an enemy from the beginning, from like really close range, then that's the best thing to do. But we can't necessarily do that with most enemies. Like that one, we actually have to wait for it to shoot its arms before we can actually attack it or like stun it. So instead of being able to immediately like stun it, we just have to hit it in certain ways. And there we go. That was a pretty excellent White Acropolis, actually. 139 is really good, especially considering I messed one of the telethrows up. But yeah, so combat like that, it's important to understand how certain enemies work. So for instance, there are going to be these Iblis worms later on. They are immediately vulnerable, so it's better to just stun them and then pick them up to kill them, rather than Oh, that's another gold. 5-second gold right there. Let's go. It's easier to stun them and pick them up rather than having to take the 3 hits from them. And so we're going to use that later on when we have to do more combat in Aquatic Base. But up next, we have Egg Genesis. So Egg Genesis is quite a simple boss, but if you make a slight mistake, it can cost quite a lot. So I'm just going to pick up enough missiles here to get the first few cycles down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to get exactly 6 hits per cycle, if possible. And then at this point, I have the missiles replenish. And so I can then shoot the last 2 cycles. There we go. Pretty slick. Yeah, so it's essentially a 4-cycle boss, 6 hits per cycle, 24 hits in total. You want to pick up enough missiles from the very beginning, about 2/3 of your bar, to finish off the first 2 cycles, but you want to wait a little bit on the second cycle so that the missiles can replenish. And thereafter, you can pick up the missiles after you finish the second to finish off the remainder of the boss. Pretty good. It's only like a second off IL world record, so. Perfect. All right, so you've all experienced the psychokinetic thrill of Silver, the fiery, passionate speed of Blaze. But I don't think any of you have experienced true speed yet in Sonic 06. I don't think any of us have experienced true speed in Sonic 06. We're going to go really fast. We're going to go so fast. you're gonna blink. If you blink, you're gonna miss it. It's just incredibly speedy, this next part. Just watch. Watch and learn, everyone. The true way to get speed in Sonic 06. Right here, right now. Heck yeah, Amy. Go fast. This is the Amy mission, one of 2 required missions in the speedrun still, because you load right into it. And unfortunately, there's almost nothing we can do to speed this up. It is slightly faster on PS3 because of draw distance. There are some boxes up there that explode on PS3 automatically and basically kill these enemies on their own, but we have to kill them individually on 360. So yeah, Amy, she goes. We use a hammer, we use a Pika Pika hammer to defeat some enemies, and then we just walk through. Speaking of Amy, yeah, Amy's gonna be a lot faster in the next run, I promise. I hope. I really hope Amy's not this slow in Mania. Please. We're gonna do a little thing. I wonder if I can get this. Almost. That one enemy shoots a missile, and you can get it to explode its own box, but we were slightly bad with the RNG, or the AI manip, but pretty good Amy mission, all things considered. Alright. So, here's where the category sort of diverges from what we saw earlier. Silver basically only has items to make him go fast, or like objects to make him go fast early in the run. So all you really have to use is what's around you. You can't do much with Silver on his own, other than hover rather than walk, because hovering is 10 meters per second, walking is 9 meters per second. So instead, we're going to get something here called the Heart of Wind. Normally we're supposed to do a mission called Mission 11 to get access to Radical Train, but yet again, the developers went, there's no way you're going to get to this mirror without going through this mission. There is a way we can get to the mirror without going through the mission, and it involves the Heart of Wind power-up we get. So the stun slap move from earlier, the thing that allows me to store my momentum in an LE, in a levitation extension, this principle works for pretty much any airborne move. If you hold X, or press X, on the last frame of animation, so in this case, it'll be the 9th frame after I double tap A, I'm able to maintain my momentum of that move in my falling, which makes it really fast, as you're going to see. We get up here, I'm going to buy the Power Bracelet and the Heart of Wind, and then we're going to get this move. This is the Teleport Dash, and that was the extended Teleport Dash. If I press X on that specific frame, or hold X, I'm able to get a lot of speed. And this speed allows me to break through pretty much anything. So I can just clip through here if I get the right angle. There we go. And then go around like this. Hovering back inbounds, making sure I don't fall. Regain my action gauge. Go around like this. And there we go. That's the Radical Train Mirror. We don't need to do Mission 11 at all. Yeah, the SETD is essentially the same as the ETD as well. The Super Extend Teleport Dash is just a held extended teleport dash. Because we skipped the Shock Bracelet, it means we can actually keep that momentum going by just holding X on that frame instead. So it's like double tap X, double tap A, X, double tap A, X, and you hold it, and that's pretty good. Alright, coming up here. Oh. So remember I said almost anything works with Telethrow. I mean that. I mean that hard. Look. Sonic Riders, everyone. Oh, that's not good. I didn't get the SCTD because I messed up. That's what happens if you fail a telethrow. You basically just jump, because throwing an object normally actually makes it like makes you jump. It forces a jump. Hence why you're hearing ha 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 every time I do that. And essentially we're just basically forcing the jump not to get us off the object, but instead stay on. So if you fail it by not holding correctly towards the surface, that's what happens, but it's still pretty good. We can finish the stage up in still 40 seconds time. Much better than what we could have done before with the best use of those ETDs.
That was easy.
All right. Up next, we have yet another boss. This is Shadow the Hedgehog, one of my least favorite bosses, to be honest. And it's because, so Sonic and Shadow, their rival fights, they actually don't have invincibility frames, unlike all the other bosses in the game. And so you're technically able to just pelt them with things, and they would die. But Shadow's arena has very limited objects. He takes 24 hits, and if I have bad luck with these barrels, it can sometimes just push him rather than attack him. This is okay so far. And it's a bit finicky, honestly, to get Shadow working properly. But that was really good. That's what you want to see. Somehow, like, all the stars align and you get multiple hits like that. Just by really nicely throwing the barrels. At this point, Shadow's going to turn into Red Shadow. Oh, Red Shadow. I can also hurt myself, which is fun. Should be enough to get it right here. There we go. That Shadow's fight. A little bit frustrating to get through sometimes, but not too bad. The boss can range anywhere from like 30 seconds to a minute 15, depending upon how nice it wants to be to you. And this is a pretty solid Shadow fight. Alright, I'm not going to show the cutscene. Sorry, everyone, to let you down. I'm really sorry, but it's still, you know, it's an iconic cutscene at this point. It's called 10 years ago, and it's pretty neat, but I'm not going to show it. We're on pretty good pace, so. Coming up next is Aquatic Base. Aquatic Base, as a stage, like the trademark feature of Aquatic Base in every single story is first section, comically short. So this normally, like casually, the first section of Aquatic Base involves you switching between Silver and Shadow, going through a bunch of maze-like stages as you just go through this place to unlock switches. Takes like 4 to 5 minutes. So here's what we do in the speedrun. I'm just gonna go back here. This is the final room of the first section. So I'm just gonna get some rings to be saved. Clip through this bit here. And there you go. That's the first section done in 14 seconds. That is all there is to it. Okay, so we're gonna go through here again. This is one of the few stages where we can't use telethrow, honestly. Telethrow is a little bit limited here because of all the barricades and like death planes there are in this. So instead, you get to see the power of the SCTD. So I'm just going to clip out from here, like so. Holding X, let go, and then I can LE back in bounds. And now we're gonna play Super Monkey Ball. Was this underwater? Yes, Silver. I wonder if Aquatic Base was underwater. Think emoji. So yeah, these are the fastest ways to get through this section. If it touches lasers, it despawns, so you want to be very careful not to go too fast here. I'm going to try for Hope and Clip. Didn't quite work. You can get an SCTD onto that corner, and if your angle is just exactly right as you like hit it, you'll clip right through instead of having to go over here. So I'm just going to clip through this door, avoid the lasers, and we're on to one of the only required combat sections, actually, other than what we've done earlier. So combat here is a little bit different without the SCTD, or sorry, the shock bracelet. The shock bracelet's really convenient here because you can like pick up enemies at like a really good range and like just get a lot of hits that way, but unfortunately you can't do that as easily.
Sorry, your mic is doing the bit crush you mentioned before.
Oh no, oh no, that's not good. Give me just a second to get through this section. Sorry, my microphone is essentially a ZX Spectrum, everyone. So let me just reset it really quick right now. Good now?
Yeah, I was gonna warn you as well, but I didn't want to kind of warn you just yet because you were a bit busy.
It's all good. I have a bunch of load screens to fix any sort of issue that we have in 06.
While you're getting that sorted out, mind if I read a donation?
Absolutely. This is actually a good time for donations anyhow.
Yeah, we have we've got just two more donations coming. One from Tempest Mask 1000, who donates $5. I promised to do this for Crisis, so here we are. But I bet there wasn't a shadow of a doubt. Thank you so much to UKSG for having me last year with Focus.
Thank you, Tempest. Thank you, Tempest.
And
thank you for the pun.
Shout out to him for showing off a Sonic character that I could consider to be quite underrated to the games. Here's hoping that you'll shine in the future, Silver.
Oh gosh.
No pun intended.
There are so many puns in this one, Tempest. What have you done? What have you done? Too many puns.
Towards European Extreme. And we have a anonymous $5 donation as well, with no comment.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for donating. But Tempest, it's too many puns. It's too many puns, man. Speaking of a joke, this mission, protect Anna. She knows the secret. Really important that she knows the secret. What is the secret? A bunch of old men exist in Kingdom Valley. I'm gonna first get her to push. I'm gonna push her a slight bit right there so she avoids the bench. That bench will slow us down by 2 seconds. And this is supposed to be an escort mission, where you're supposed to go for it, and it's supposed to be like, hey, protect Anna, but she'll actually go on her own if there are no enemies spawned. And in fact, if enemies spawn while she's in like a very tight area where she's only forced to go one way, she'll speed up because she'll run, but she can't run back, so she runs forward. And therefore we can speed her up in this way. I'm gonna wait for about 28 seconds, and we're gonna do that yet again. And then we're just gonna let Anna go to the end on her own. She'll succeed for us. So spawn in an enemy, there you go. Thank you, Anna. And now with this time, this is quite literally just a bunch of fun stuff. I can just go out of bounds here, and I'm just gonna run against it like here. And I'm gonna mess around with the seemingly innocuous NPCs. Like, I don't know why there are so many NPCs out in this area, but here is a barrel. And there's gonna be a few NPCs over here. This is one of the good luck charms I see in my runs. This is Barrel Captain, so if I can make Barrel Captain, we have a good run. Ooh, this is... can I recover? Ooh, can I still make Barrel Captain? I don't know. Oh, this isn't looking good. This means it's a bad run, no matter what happens. Obviously, if you don't make Barrel Captain, then what's the point? What's the point of a Sonic 06 speedrun if you can't make Barrel Captain? Ah, we did not make Barrel Captain. That is unfortunate. Ooh, I wonder what that's going to say about the rest of the run. And then we finish the mission just like this. Be careful not to press X too much, because that will do a frame buffered input as silver, and that's a stun slap, which actually breaks out of conversation. You don't want that.
That was easy.
Alright, and now comes one of the hardest tricks in the entirety of Sonic 06. This is a trick that pretty much I only do, or I'm known to do, because it involves a lot of those levitation extensions, which have a single frame window every time. So at this point in the game, it's supposed to be like, hey, you know, do 3 missions, please, to unlock an eagle to get to Kingdom Valley. And the game developers are like, okay, there's no way Silver can ever, like, increase in height at any point. There's, like, we removed all the objects. There's nothing he can use to go up. So, you know, we're pretty cool. We're probably secure. There's no way anyone could do that. So they left the mirror active yet again. Much like with previous missions before, you can, if you touch the Kingdom Valley mirror, you go to Kingdom Valley. So, instead of doing any of the 3 missions, none of them, I'm going to go ahead and get over to a wall on my left. It's a bit further down, and we're going to use the geometry of these walls to scale up. This is known as trial skip. So first things first, I'm going to mash X, or A to hover up here, and then when I get to advantageous geometry that pushes me up, I'm going to do LEs, because not only do they maintain my momentum, they also regain my action gauge, meaning I can hover for longer and further down. So it's a win-win situation. I'm able to be pushed up this wall and hover more after I do an LE. It's better to err on the side of too late rather than too early with this trick, because if you're too late, you'll still actually regain your action gauge, but if you're too early, if you press it like the moment you hover, or let go of hover, then you're actually not going to regain your action gauge whatsoever. So it's really important that you are going slightly late if you have to like choose one direction. But I use a claw grip here, my thumb is on A, my index finger is on X, and I'm holding X as soon as I feel my thumb release from A. It's a pretty necessary trick to do trial skip, and as a result of the amount of times you have to do this trick, it's not often done, but it saves 2 minutes. And this is wall 2, the easiest of the walls, very generous wall. As soon as I get to this top corner, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to lightly tap the A button so I can maintain my action gauge a little bit longer to get to this very steep wall. This is wall 3, and this is arguably the most difficult wall of all. Very steep. If you make a few mistakes, it can cost you the entire run. So I need to be very careful here, hit the LEs where I can in a row so I get more action gauge, and not fall too low. If I fall too low, I'll be pushed down instead of being pushed up. So just concentrating, going up like this until I get a full action gauge. That lag though, ooh, that lag is a killer. That lag is a secret silent run murderer, because the lag can sometimes extend a input. So for instance, it can extend the X input, even though you don't regain your action gauge, and you'll fall twice as far. Meaning that you'll lose and fall down and not be able to recover and have to do everything again from wall 1. This is very steep, I should mention. I barely gain height when doing the LEs, and I just need to get enough height so I regain my action gauge to get a full bar, and do this one more time up here. The wall has a ceiling to the, like, it's diagonally going, like, up left, And there's also a fall-off point at the left as well, so you don't want to be too far right nor too far left, otherwise you will either bonk against like the ceiling, which wastes your momentum, or you'll fall down and be pushed down, and that will waste a lot of time as well. Just gonna chain more here until I get a full action gauge again. And just hover a bit more. Getting pushed up as far as I can. Then doing LEs to over here. This is the pillar, and this is the final part of trial skip. So just push myself like so. This is a very generous bit, and there we go. That's trial skip, everyone. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff. That was a really good trial skip overall. It's a very difficult trick, and a lot of those inputs are one frame, but with enough guts and determination, you can get through it. Alright, so we're on to the last two stages of the run. We have 2 more main acts and 1 more boss. And we start with Kingdom Valley, which has an amazing trick at the beginning called Telelaunch. I will just do it first, and then I will explain it. So, yeah, this is going to be fascinating. So I'm just going to stand on a rock here, lift, and there you go, that's Telelaunch. Ah, I didn't quite get the SETD, but that gives me time to explain what I was doing. So, before I mentioned a trick called Telefling. It's essentially picking up an object as you were from afar while on top of it. This forces the object to be pushed away from silver because it wants to be... Like, if you pick up objects, they're supposed to be pushed away from silver, so there's enough range. But if you're on top of it, the game goes like, okay, you're not away enough far enough, so it just flies on the object. I can then throw it at that point, which then gets it permanently stuck in its thrown state, and when I lift it, that thrown momentum gets sent to my lift function, meaning we skyrocket into the air, and it allows me to skip some death planes over there and finish the first section in 22 seconds. So this is one of the tricks I'm doing right now, which is really recent, and this is going to be hopefully not a run killer. Oh, please survive, box. Oh, thank you for surviving. I was so nervous. This is a Havoc physics engine. Basically just, hey, does this work? Will this happen? I'm going to get it, move it slightly so that I get it at a steep enough angle here. I think that should be good. And then move like so. Oh, I don't think I can recover that. Okay, that's unfortunate. I'm just going to continue normally. That was Sonic Skip. I was trying to get a box in the right position in order to skip having to play a Sonic at all, but because doing so is actually slower. But unfortunately, the box kind of wasn't steep enough, and so we weren't able to do it, so we get Sonic instead. Sonic Skip is a very recent trick, or at least very recently implemented. It can save about 30 seconds if you get all that set up really well, but it can hurt if you fail it like that. It's threading a needle, essentially, and it's one of the harder telethrows because you need to stand in such a way that Silver's facing direction is, like, upright, or mostly right, honestly, but you need to make sure you're holding towards the box face, and unfortunately I just wasn't able to even get the first step, so Sonic time. So Sonic has these gems in his story. They're pretty useful throughout Sonic's story, but you don't get them until, like, the very last moment. But we have all of the ones that we want at our use here. So I can use the Sky Gem, for instance, which essentially teleports Sonic to a location by giving him massive height. And also, if I use the Purple Gem, I can turn tiny and just jump infinitely, because why not? That's a feature in Sonic 06, I guess. So, you might notice there's an action gauge at the bottom right. You know, like most things, there's like an action gauge, and it doesn't really work as well. In Sonic's story, a single typo in the code prevents the gauge from draining, meaning I can use this tiny jump machine for as long as I want. And so we can just go like this. You can see how this is slower than trying to set up a telethrow at the very beginning, but it's still fine if you have to do it. And it's better, you know, for marathon's sake that I don't try to game over after trial skip, because that would really hurt. There's no save point after trial skip until you beat this stage. Let's see if we've avoided the S-Rank at least. Oh, come on! So the S-Rank is 50k. I got 50k.10. If I didn't hit a single box, we would have gotten 4,990. Yep, that's it. And that would have avoided the S-Rank. That's okay.
Mind if I just jump in here for a second?
Absolutely, go right ahead.
We have no donations, but I would just again like to remind everybody we are donating for a charity called Crisis that helps people get people off the streets, especially during this trying times during COVID, which is why we're actually doing this event from our home to yours. We'd also like to thank ESA for allowing us to use their channel and resources to put this event on. And I would just to also like to remind everybody to keep donating. And we've also got an upcoming incentive called Tuxedo 2 Closing Boogaloo, which was created and needs $300 to be met. So keep those donations coming in for the charity itself and the donations and for the incentives, because every bit of money counts.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I was messing up the SCTD there. So instead of, there's a door over there to my left after I do that set of telethrows. There's a door to my left, but it's actually the most secure door. It is quite literally the Fort Knox of doors. They don't want you to get through that door. So you have two ways of going through it. You either can get a telethrow high enough to avoid the door entirely, go above it, or you can go around it like that, which just, both of those are just more viable options than trying to clip through that door, because quite literally that door is secure. That's Flame Core, that's the first section. You can set up a telethrow just on almost anything, and that spent item capsule is one of the most big brain setups I've thought of. What if we just get 10 rings and then push it on that thing? Yeah, so also there's those Cocoa Puffs there, which I'm glad they didn't hit us, because those Cocoa Puffs are really mean. They're random, and they can hit you at almost any time. I landed on one once. It was fun. So I'm gonna go for, since Sonic Skip didn't quite work out, I'm gonna go for another difficult trick involving a box. We got a box up here, a metal box. And this is known as a box telelaunch. So telelaunch is basically, as I mentioned before, you're getting a telefling, which is dependent upon how the object rotates. So boxes don't rotate very evenly, and so it's very difficult to actually stay on it long enough to do the throw bits, throw and then lift. But let's see. Unfortunate. So I got a stuck telelaunch there. What that means is that that box is now permanently attached to me, despite actually not being an object of mine. And so it's just gonna float around as a piece of shame. This is what happens if you fall off while you've already thrown it. This is just what happens, and unfortunately it means we didn't get to quite show the cool trick, but it's fine. I can just clip through here, and also go up to here and just get hit. That saves some time. Gonna get over here and lift up. I'm actually going to use some of the assets of the stage. What? I'm doing the stage slightly normally in Sonic 06? No way. Wow. It's incredible. But yeah, the endgame in Silver's story is still really difficult. Telethrows have not made it significantly easier, unfortunately. And again, the one in Kingdom Valley is one of the hardest ones in the game. I did practice for it, but it's all good. So here we are. We're nearing the final bit of Flame Core. I can just I want to get exactly 6 or more than 8 rings at this point, because I'm going to do some invincibility manipulation here. So this is the Power of Iblis, or the God Puff, or the Massive Puff, as we like to call it. I'm going to hover here and get hit in midair. This is going to drop my rings, and I can get a ring like this, and we can use the invincibility frames to get to this door. I'm gonna set up here. I'm gonna do a teleslide. So a teleslide is a pause buffered trick. You can do it without pause buffering. Essentially, you teleport dash on the ground, or teleport dash 2 frames after you jump. You're able to slide on the ground, and that allows you to clip through certain things like that door. And that is Flame Core, everyone. We have only one more boss left, so time is coming up fairly soon. Time will come up when the screen freezes at the end of Iblis Phase 3 coming up, since we're fighting Iblis again. Oddly enough, Iblis Phase 2 doesn't exist in Silver's story, so you face 1 and 3, because 2 is in the other stories. That makes sense. But yeah, this is the final boss of the game, for Silver's at least, which is Iblis Phase 3. And this boss, what better way to end the entirety of what we've gone through than with a boss that is technically just RNG? Because that's what we get. That's unfortunately what we have. So I need to get a total of 3 hits from luck from what we call the Cocoa Puff batches. So I'm going to stand here, and I'm just going to pick up objects and hope that they don't explode. This isn't looking good. Could have been worse. Could have been worse.
It looks like he's getting
Okay, I got enough to get a 220. It always depends. The amount of hits you get from luck determines what cycle is possible. And so I need to get. I don't think I need to get any more hits actually to get a 220. But there is like different tiers of stuff. There is a bad time where you get not enough hits is like a 310 or higher. This is actually looking pretty decent though. A decent one is a 220, which is just getting 3 hits from luck. Ah, that one didn't hit quite as I wanted. And a really good one would be a 150. But then there is a last tier, which shoutouts to my boy Ontanishi from Northern Ireland for giving us the worst tier imaginable for an Iblis fight, which is the stuff. Back in 2014, he managed to, in a dead run, get the Iowa record for this, which stood for 6 years and involved getting 13 hits from luck. 13. And his reaction and the subsequent, impact that it's had on the 06 community has led us to calling getting a 125 Iblis 3, which saves a minute off of my expected time of 220, the stuff. It's quite incredible, honestly, and it's like almost like a foundational document to 06 speedrunners. Okay, here we go. Unfortunately, I was I think 1 hit off of a 150 pace, so time is coming up very soon. Time will come as soon as Iblis 3's bar freezes and the timer freezes. So I'm just gonna pick up these. 2. I was 2 hits off. Dang. But at least we get to see the massive puff, the god puff. This big boy over here is just gonna throw a giant Cocoa Puff at us, and we're gonna throw it right back. So time is coming up very soon. Okay. Time. 44:46. You know, just almost 10 minutes underestimate. No biggie. Oh, man. Pretty good run, all things considered. Had some mistakes, had some unfortunate things, but overall, pretty good run. Pretty good run. I'm happy with that. That is Silver Story No Credits Warp, everyone. I'm just really excited with how that went, and I hope you all significantly enjoyed that, and I showed you, hey, don't judge a game by what it's like casually. As a speedrun, anything is possible, and 06 is an exemplar sample of that. So I guess I'll just mention a few things while I'm here before we head off to the next run. If you're interested in watching Sonic 06 or any of the other games I speedrun the Mega Man X series, I run X7. Really love bad games myself. And I also run Super Monkey Ball. If you're interested in that, you can follow me on twitch.tv/FocusSight, spelled the way you expected, FOCUSSIGHT. If you are interested in learning Sonic 06 or want to join the Sonic 06 community, you can go to the speedrun.com page for it, which is speedrun.com/Sonic06, and click the Discord link there. You can join our server where we have resources, people post new PBs and world records, we mention all these sorts of streams, and we are also significantly happily wishing everyone, if they join, we are going to help you as much as we can. I personally affirm this. As someone who's been running this game for 8 years, I love helping people learn this game. I love helping people show that this game isn't bad when you speedrun it. And I'm very excited that the folks here at UKSG gave me the opportunity to show off this game today. For reference, compared to the previous showing at ESA that I did in summer, this is 8 minutes faster. And so Telethrow has truly changed the category, and it's incredible to see. That's pretty much all from me, and I thank you so much to everyone on staff at UKSG, and thanks to ESA for hosting UKSG as well. Make sure to keep on donating to Crisis UK in order to support things. In fact, because I need to make sure to get back at Tempest somehow with all those puns. I need to find some way to get back at him for that. But thank you everyone so much for having me, and I hope you have a good rest of the marathon.
Alright, thank you very much for that one, Focus. It was a great run, so, yeah, I really enjoyed watching that run, so, sit tight and we'll be setting up for the next run, which I believe, Argic is running. So, everybody just
Amy, but not slow. Amy, but actually fast. Let's go.
Yes, exactly, let's go.